0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. 5-0-5. Edgar Martinez with a double. Whip down the left field line, and they are going crazy at the Kingdom.
This is the third straight start. He's been shit in New York against the Mets. I don't know the stats, but he's got a 90 ERA for his last 3. Sucked. Goes in a Philly. Sucks. First inning. Sucks. But you know what he does? The next 4 innings, I agree with you. Bear down. He looked a lot stronger. His arm looks tired. He just doesn't look the same. I'm not, like I told you earlier, the home runs bother me, but he usually gives up the solos, the 2-run homers. That grand slam off of Laureano pissed me off.
Yeah, with Castillo, we can't figure it out. We're like, should we use the opener for him? Or do we have to just send him to a mock game and have him pitch the first inning somehow, some sort of virtual reality thing where he pitches the first inning? Because once he settles in, he gets in a groove. It's just like you when we start the shows. Sometimes I want to say we're recording, get you going for about 15 minutes, wake you up, and then you don't want to stop. When I want to end the show, you're like, oh, one more thing.
If you watch the game, you might have caught this. Gino is rounding the bases, does all his stuff that he does. It was a massive hit, rounding third, coming home. And who is on deck? Jorge Polanco. You're expecting to get some dap. You got some from Cal. And coming out of the dugout, you see Josh Naylor. Did he get Eugenio in a gap? Absolutely not. He was up early just before him. He goes to the on-deck batter, Jorge Polanco, and talks to him about what he's seeing from that pitcher. It got me so jacked up, even though it was a big-time home run from Eugenio. Just to see that I don't care that you just hit that home run. To see that you went to the on-deck batter to talk strategy about what you're seeing. You're a fellow left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
Blanco was just totally involved what Naylor was saying. It's something I noticed, and it absolutely got me pumped.
I just try to play baseball. I just like to wake up, come to the field, work hard, win the game, go home, repeat.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave, and they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're off to a hot start here. I had one hell of an intro. I was nailing there, Hanno. I was nailing it. I was letting everybody know that this is the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, that Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks, 5-star dive bar podcast about those Seattle Mariners that are just taking you to every wit's end of frustration. They don't let you off the hype train. They don't let you off the frustration train. And if you're new to this podcast, we are doing this podcast until the Mariners actually win the World Series and get themselves dethroned. maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, hey, Hannah, we might be lucky. We might be able to quit having to do this damn podcast and talk about Mariners stuff maybe in a year, after this season. Now it's looking like more like we're looking down the barrel of that life sentence. Just after a game like this, it makes you feel like that.
Yeah, you have these crappy games where you just get your absolute ass kicked, but just from the whole road trip, starting off big lead, 4-run, and then just going absolutely dormant and not doing a damn thing, and then losing that game to Cleveland. And I could take a game like this here and there, but it just continues. Same with your intro with Luis Castillo. That continues. It was like a rerun, wash, rinse, and repeat. He gets a base hit, walks a guy, just looks totally unfocused, just came and hit the zone, and then boom, it isn't a grand slam, it's a 3-run homer, and I just felt like we've seen this before. This is not going to be a good game.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And look, we cut a video that we put out today, and I said, oh, you know what? Hopefully Castillo shoves this, takes this and just fucking shoves it to us, right? Or whatever, and then we have to make a new video about how awesome he is. Well, now actually we're probably going to have to do an add-on to this, and I'm going to show it to the listeners that just jumped on here while I fix something.
This is the third straight start. He's been shit in New York against the Mets. I don't know the stats, but he's got a 90 ERA over his last 3. Sucked. Goes in a Philly. Sucks. First inning. Sucks. But you know what he does? The next 4 innings, I agree with you. Bear down, he looked a lot stronger. His arm looks tired. He just doesn't look the same. I'm not, like I told you earlier, the home runs bother me, but he usually gives up the solos, the 2-run homers. That grand slam off of Laureano pissed me off.
But yeah, with Castillo, we can't figure it out. We're like, should we use the opener for him? Or do we have to just send him to a mock game and have him pitch the first inning? Somehow, some sort of virtual reality thing where he pitches the first inning. Because once he settles in, he gets in a groove. It's just like you when we start the shows. Sometimes I want to say we're recording, get you going for about 15 minutes, wake you up, and then you don't want to stop. When I want to end the show, you're like, oh, one more thing. Well, now it's 4 games, Hanno, and crisis averted. Now it's 4 games of the same.
Yeah, you get a new month, you turn the page, you're looking for something a little different. His velocity looked a little better, like it was up to start, but same old story. There's some issues going on, not only with some of our starters, but in the back end of the bullpen. I know we'll get to that too, but we're just not clicking right now.
Yeah, and I don't want to just sit here and punch down on Castillo, but man, it's getting pretty bad right now. Today's game that we just watched right now here on Labor Day. This is supposed to be our Labor Day blowout event, and it's starting off, some ass chewing. And if you're new to the podcast, we kind of do it like locker room style, right? We're gonna chew a little ass, and then we're gonna give out some roses, and try to get optimistic once we get towards the end. But look, it happens early. It seems like the Mariners too at the same time, going back to, except for maybe the Mets game, when Castillo, comes out there and he gives you this deficit, the offense just seems to not really click, except for in that 1 inning against the Padres.
Yeah, they let
that sentence right away.
Yeah, he got pulled out, he was off the hook. Mariners, come back, get the lead, but we know that ended. They pissed that away. But he just has not looked strong, and he's not fooling anybody. Batters up to bat look locked in on him, and they're crushing him.
And we're accustomed to the solo home runs, like you said there in the video. But we are seeing the last game we've seen. This game we just saw a 3-run shot. The game before, we know about the grand slam. There's nothing really great to talk about Luis Castillo here in the second half since the All-Star break. Going into finishing up the first half, I thought he had a great first half, and we've been huge advocates for him. And, when everybody else was contemplating trading him, and we need to get him out here. So, for us to be sitting here and talking about Luis Castillo like that is actually pretty foreign to you and I.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's been great since we first got him a couple years ago. Like you mentioned, this year, the first half, he's been pretty good. But man, this last month or so, he just gives you no chance to win a game these last 4 starts, and that's what's so frustrating because it's go time. It's the last month of the season, 24 more games to go. You got people right on your tail right now. You're going one way, everybody's going up the other, and it's worrisome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the last podcast you were apologizing for us not knowing every single number that there possibly is. But so we're gonna have a little bit of an aid here. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen because we got to talk about it. We got to pull up the numbers here for Luis Castillo, and it's not pretty, like we're mentioning here. And we'll move on from this. We won't sit here and dwell in it, but it is what it. These are the facts right here. Last 7 games, over 6 ERA, 6.11. Last 15 games, 4.5. But the last, let's see, 4 games that he has pitched, I believe his ERA is well over, I think it's over 12.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at this is from, okay. I'm pulling this. Can you see this up on the screen with the story? No, you can't. It's at 11. So that's where your OPS, or that's what we're looking at here. So, sorry about that. Well, let's move on from Luis Castillo. There's another thing that really irritating me that I'm starting to see, and I want it to go away quickly as a fan, is the base running miscues and the pickoffs. I know they are going to be aggressive. You are going to see a lot of caught stealings here and there. We saw some great throws by Bo Naylor. Is that his name? Bo Naylor? Josh Naylor's brother. We saw a great throw on Randy Rosarena, but we just saw here in game 1 of Tampa Bay series, we've seen Randy get caught. I don't know what he was doing in between second and third. We also saw other running mistakes in the series before. What's your feeling on this, and what do you think is causing it? How do they remedy this?
Yeah, Mariners are so aggressive. I'm with you. That's just a mental mistake that happened in today's game. You would rather him get thrown out on a stolen base, but then he was leading off a little bit too much. The pitcher or the shortstop and second baseman are playing a yo-yo game back and forth to try to mess with him, and shortstop backs out, second baseman backs in, spin move by the pitcher on the first pitch, boom, got him. I mean, Tampa, if anybody knows how Randy is, I mean, we do too. He can short circuit sometimes, try to be very aggressive, and it'll bite him. And so that's just what happened there, and that's just to start the game. We got a guy on second base right away, first inning, Cal Raleigh up, and then Cal gets out, or he gets out, Cal gets out, and then, innings over just like that. It's just a total buzzkill from Randy there. Like I said, he does a lot of good things for you, but sometimes he just short circuits, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I definitely. It was definitely one of those huge. It doesn't feel so much bad in the moment because you're like, well, we still got 26 outs, 25 outs, or whenever it happens. A lot of game to play, but at the same time, that is a momentum setter right there in the first inning for the Mariners. And for a team that struggles, especially manufacturing runs, they're very precious moments out there.
Yeah, lately, definitely. We'll go back to Cleveland real quick, that play where he got thrown out trying to stretch it into a triple. I didn't have such a problem with that one, the one that went to right field, hit off the wall, bounced over the right fielder's head. Sure, he made an unbelievable throw, and maybe Randy could have been going hard as he was approaching second, and slid into right into the guy at third base, could have called interference or whatever. It didn't work out for him, but I thought he would have been safe. I like that aggressiveness on him. That was a point in the game where the Mariners were, as I mentioned earlier, off to a hot start. Got 4 runs in the first inning, went quiet, and he was a first hit in about 7 innings, so he tried to make something happen, and I didn't think it was too aggressive, but he gets thrown out. And then you mentioned the other ones with guys getting picked off a lot lately too. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a habit.
Yeah, and going back to Randy's slide there in to third base back in the Cleveland series, you saw everybody argue about this. Everybody have put in their opinions, like you said, like to see maybe feet first. You've also seen people say, like the Ninja goes, I just don't understand why he just didn't slide straight into the bag instead of going around him. I think Randy did everything he was supposed to do. Why would you want to get hurt doing that in the first place over one base? Do you want him to dislocate his shoulder? No. I really look back at that as a turning point, honestly. It's such a little thing, just like this little thing here in the first game of the Tampa series. I look back at that and go, wow, Mariners get that leadoff triple right there. I really do feel like they're scoring that run right there, maybe even more. They put that game away. Maybe the start of this road trip would obviously started differently. Maybe the results would be differently right now. But I look at the umpire and I really point at the umpire right there. Because if you are umpiring or officiating third base, I would think like some of your biggest responsibilities are, okay, watch to see if the batter goes through, on an appeal to third base, and fair or foul down the line, foul pole stuff. And then the next thing would be in position for any play at your bag. And I would assume watching if somebody's blocking the bag has got to be up there for the things you're looking for. And then a third baseman blatantly does that only feet away from you. I don't know how that's missed.
Yeah, I don't really get it either, because they made it such an emphasis of that rule coming into the year, especially at second, and we knew before at home you can't block the base. What's the difference here at third, and why can't it be challenged? We saw Dan Wilson come out, try to argue his case, but it was unreviewable, and I'm lost for trying to figure out what happened with that play. Like, why wasn't it checked over or reviewed, or like you mentioned, why didn't the umpire just make the call right there?
And for that not to be part of the instant replay package is beyond me. I don't understand that. And maybe it's not in it because typically the umpire is going to be able to see that right away. But usually I've seen it called the other way. I've never really missed a miss, or I can't think of a spot where there was a miss on it for blocking the bag since I've been watching. I feel like that's one of the things that gets called quite a bit, and it didn't get called right there. So that's what else baffled me. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. Like, you mentioned Ninja said he kind of tried to avoid it. I didn't really see it that way. I felt like he was rounding second, coming to the outfield side of the bag, just slid in head first, and his left shoulder ran right into his leg. I don't feel like he tried to avoid the on a slide or anything. And the only thing is, if he would have known the situation that could have happened, he could have went in feet first, cleats up, and just totally taken his legs out. But hindsight's 20/20. He didn't know that was going to be such a close play. A hell of a throw by that right fielder too.
Yeah, that was, that was very Ichiro-esque of a throw. Maybe even a Jay Buhner bomb. That was what they say was 100 miles an hour out of his hand or something like that. Hey, and listen, and you got Ramirez over there, and he's just a hard, he's one of the he's just a dirty ass fucking player, man. Just plays hard. You know what I mean? He's going to take every little advantage he can every little inch he can take to compete.
Absolutely. He's that guy you wish was on your team, but you're upset. You're exactly right. I feel the same way. He knew what he was doing, catching that ball right there in the line up in front of the bag, and it worked out. It was a total killer, though, for the Mariners. Yeah. You're right.
But it also doesn't make up for, just the inability of the Mariners offense, especially here on the road, to play any sort of add-on We see the eruptions. We see the 4 runs in the first inning in that game, in game 1 of this road trip, and you watch it evaporate. That happens. You're watching a bullpen too right now that's not pitching with a lot of swagger and confidence whatsoever. They seem rattled. We'll get to that in a second, but let's just talk about the inability of them being able to play add-on in games.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, only scoring 4 runs each of those games, and Cleveland winning 1 and losing those 2. But you're right, getting off to that 4-run lead there in the first inning, and they just want to sleep. I mean, they were just on an autopilot, and Cleveland, a good team that won't out homer you or whatever, just chipped away, played good defense the whole series, and took the extra base, and just played really good ball and just chipped away and beat you like the Cleveland Guardians do, just chipping away at it.
Now, yes, and I will give Cleveland credit. They played absolutely impeccable defense that entire series. There's a lot of hard hit balls. Now going into this game, you're starting to see a lot more swing and miss from players. I even look at somebody. I don't want to get down on Cal and Eugenio, but I look at their numbers. When they come up to bat, and you're like, wow, the home runs, wow, the RBIs, 42 home runs, 50 home runs, each of them 100 plus RBIs. But you do look over at their averages of like 238 and 240, and you'd like to see those particular guys get their average up. If they could get themselves back up about 6-7 points, that's going to be huge for the Mariners offense. If they can just something like that. When I was looking at a number of yes, there's so many other players to point to. There's JP Crawford, but I'm talking about your 2 biggest run producers. If we could see a little bit less swing and miss out of them, even here in this last game, a good sign I saw the 2 singles by Cal. I was completely happy with it. I know he flew and he had 1 fly out that was right to the wall, but there was some crazy wind out there, they were saying in that game, blowing the ball. But those are 2 guys that I would like to see less strikeouts going forward for the rest of the month and get back into a groove that way.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying on Eugenio. Absolutely, it seems like he's heading back to the dugout quite a bit on swing and misses, but we kind of knew that's how he was. But I agree with you. I wish it was a lot less. With Cal, I totally see what you're saying. I'm frustrated too. He was 0 for 18 coming in this game, and you're right. He had a couple nice swings, and hopefully that gets him back on track. But I can't say anything negative, even though, yeah, you're right. Just because of the way how he absolutely carried this team and put everything on his back, and the way he played in the first half, he played out of his mind. So I do agree that he has been swinging and missing a lot more, but I'm not as critical about him, even though, you have a very valid point about that.
Yeah, you just like to see everybody on this team hit 5 to 6 points higher than they are right now. Across the board, including Naylor. Every one of them, just 5 points. Because if they move themselves up 5 points, what statistically that would mean you would have here in the last month, you'd probably have to hit like maybe 15 points over whatever your average is right now, 20 points over it. I don't know if I'm doing the math, doing the Ballard High School business public school math right. But we talked about it last year when we were like, when Cal was always, or his entire career, going, hey, he's always hitting down in the 2 teens, sometimes in the low 200s. We've seen him get up to, the 220s, 230s. And we were like, what does this guy look like if he can hit 240, 250? When Eugenio hits 250, these guys are driving in so many more runs as well in these situations when they're hitting with a higher average. That goes across the board for everybody in this lineup. You've seen the averages just all kind of dip. I know in the summer I've been at the ballpark, whatever stadium that we're in, and we'd look up at the scoreboard and go, wow, it's so insane that we, like, the worst average we had on our team was like Cole Young or Ben Williamson at 256 at one point, when the offense was rolling. Now you're seeing a lot of that dip down, and look, the manufacturing of the runs aren't there, and those 2 things go hand in hand.
Yeah, For sure. From what I'm seeing, the Mariners, what do they have? Double digits in strikeouts tonight. And you're right. There's been they just aren't putting the ball in play, and if they are, it's just such weak contact for the most part.
Yeah.
I've seen JP hit a few. I mean, he got a base hit late in the game, but he hit a couple soft ones. You're right. Naylor's hit some big hacks, but just dribble the first baseman. It's just been a lot of weak contact, and they got to get back to squaring up the ball and actually putting the ball in play.
Yeah, it's staying out of the double plays. It seems like there's been a lot of double plays, but that's going to happen when you're playing teams that play good defense. You're going to run into double plays.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed that. It seems like lately, every time they get a guy on, it's rack 1, 6, 4, 3 or whatever, around the horn. It does feel like they've hit into quite a bit more double plays here recently. And I mean, it was put to my attention, JP and Cole Young. I mean, they're really struggling too.
Yeah,
it's the bottom of our lineup was really carrying us for a while there and looking really good. And they just haven't been lately. And then on the flip side, the Mariners starters have not been pitching very well to the opposite team's bottom of the lineup. So kind of comes a couple things we want to switch up there.
Yeah, and you just saw right now, too, one of the big things. We still have Victor Robles. He's going to be out, until the second game of the Braves series. So that's a huge difference. I can't help myself but to think of that home run, and I'm not knocking down Canzone. He gave a great effort. But I know how Victor scales the wall. That home run that was hit off of Castillo here in game 1 of Tampa Bay. You'd wonder if Castillo climbs that wall and catches that just the way, because I've seen him go up the wall. Even when the home runs hit into the crowd rows and rows high, you watch Victor, he just climbs to the top of that wall.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'd have to go back and look and see if I don't know, did he have a chance to get set at the wall? Did he get there and was able to wait for it, or did he have to kind of run into and just? That would all depend for me on Robles, but whatever. I mean, I was hard on. It was funny though. He lost his glove over the wall. I've been hard on him, especially the last home series. The ball going off his palm, his hand. Is tough play, but man, he sure made a hell of a play in Cleveland when he went into the right center field gap. Totally extended and made a great saving catch. So I gave him props on that play.
He did have a great play there. I'll pull that play up here in a second. But let's get into the bullpen. We started to see it a while ago. We definitely started to see it last week, even with the successful victories. The bullpen it wasn't making it easy on the old heart for the Mariners fans. You've seen Castillo and you've seen Brash kind of, show some cracking. Caleb Ferguson, as far as last episode, we were like, he hasn't been great. He hasn't been good. He's also, since then, he's come in and it seems like every inning he's in, it's 1 to 2 runs. That's concerning and quite disappointing. And even going back to when we first got him, though, it's kind of not surprising if you look at the numbers. I'll play just the top of this part of the breakdown of when he first came to the team. All right, the Mariners strike again, picking up left-handed pitcher Caleb Ferguson. All right, I get it. You're not excited. You're also probably going, who the hell is Caleb Ferguson? Most of his career was spent with the Dodgers, so he has been around winning baseball. He's also played on the New York Yankees and, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Anyways, whatever you do, do not go look at his splits. I told you don't go look at his splits. All right, we're looking at his splits. They're not very good. Here in the last 7 games that he's been in, he's pitched 5.1 innings, got an ERA right under 12. So there, it was all right there, right? You picked up a guy that was pitching with an ERA similar to what Luis Castillo is pitching in his 4-game run right here. We've seen a couple performances out of him that were all right, but it's been rocky for I'd say 70 to 75% of the outings, it feels like.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the bullpen has definitely been leaking oil here of late. You're right, our main guy's Brash, and and Munoz have not looked as lights out, and they get the heart pumping quite a bit in the late innings watching them pitch. But, it happens, but it's just a terrible time for it to be happening right now. Expect better out of those guys and hope they turn out some performances like they did in that final victory against Cleveland, just to keep the heart going a little better and feeling better. But yeah, they have not been as lights out as we would want them to, and I mean they're pitching a lot. So yeah, it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, and you've seen Hancock come up. We got to see the premiere of him out there. Didn't get some good defense right out the gate. Had to get 4 outs in that inning, but still got hit pretty hard. We did see that velocity up there, pointing out that velocity was up there in the very high 98, 99. I don't know if he hit 100, but doesn't really have that pinpoint accuracy with it. There's some good things that I saw there just on the eye test, but then at the same time I'm going, is this a time that we should be experimenting, or maybe is the Mariners in a position that they really just don't have any other options, that they do need to do some of these experimentations right now?
Yeah, I just think it's another arm that, and I agree with you. He kind of, he didn't have the greatest of starts or outings. I liked that they brought him in the 7th. I kind of figure him as to be like a 6th, 7th inning guy, give you 1 inning, hopefully, in the right, as they call it, pocket. Like they mentioned with Ferguson too. He had a great pocket the other night, but he just didn't execute. But Tampa puts the ball in play, and I agree. He usually has that pinpoint accuracy, and that's what makes him so good. But he's throwing harder. Maybe doesn't know quite where to pinpoint it. But it was a good soft landing to kind of see how he would be his first time coming out of the pen in a blowout like this. We talked earlier, and you said, well, get him in for Castillo, and I mentioned that it was just too early, in my opinion, yet. And I just don't think he's a 2-inning guy, and you need to have someone to give you a little length there, and that's when they decided to go with Vargas. So overall, I thought it was the right time and right move when Wilson put him in there to give him a shot.
Well, another pitcher that's out there, we just keep seeing by, circumstantially, is Taylor Saucedo. I could go with not seeing him again out there on a Mariners mound. I know that the fans have been rough on him. That doesn't condone what they were saying. All that aside, I get it now. He's kind of has the position that Bizzardo used to have. You got to have one guy that's just kind of your white flag. We can't wear down everybody else's arms. That's more important. So maybe that's why you still have him around, but he really doesn't have too many redeeming qualities out there as far as what he can do for you on the mound in situations.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the last guy out of the pen you're going to call on, and, you need someone to be able to throw in these type of games. I mean, yeah, he hasn't been good at times. I thought he got kind of screwed there tonight, on that pitch that would have been strike 3 for the 3rd out. And, the next pitch, once you know it, gets put in the seats. And that's just kind of year it's been for him. But, I mean, I don't worry about him too much because he's only going to be out there in blowout games. They're not going to put him in any leverage situation. At least I sure hope not.
Well, they had him in a leverage situation in Philadelphia. But
that's true. But that was,
a while ago. Yeah. I'll take it back. But yeah, going forward, you'd hope to not see him, and you definitely don't want to see him in the 13th inning when the Mariners' offense is completely shut down. You don't want to see Taylor Saucedo coming in with somebody on base with no outs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's the last guy out of the pen, so every team's got one.
We got a lot of comments and things like that from social media to the feed right here to our comment bin. Let's start just getting into some of these. Parmesan LeBron, Texas on a 6-game winning streak, 9-1 in their last 10 games. That's right. They're back from the dead. Dylan Moore, Rowdy Tellez coming back for revenge on the Mariners. Wow. They're right back on our heels. They were right on our heels, or I believe tied to us after the All-Star break, right? Just about. And they came in and the Mariners took care of business and seemingly seemed to send them going the other direction. You thought they would be completely out of the picture. They're right back there.
Yeah. They were, last time I looked at the standings, it was like they were 6 games out from us, and now they're, 1.5 after today, maybe 2. You're right. It's just typical Mariners. Dylan Moore gets picked up by them and hits a home run in his second game with them, after being 0 for, or, 1 for 50 with about 40 strikeouts or what have you, and then second game with his new organization, he hits one out. I mean, it's just typical Mariners, I'm not saying we should have kept him or anything, but it's just par for the course. The Mariners have a guy, they get rid of him, and they succeed right away.
Yeah, wait till I don't know if Donovan Solano is going to show up anywhere and go Donnie Barrels on us. Next thing you know, he's going to be on Houston and hits a 3-run shot into the Crawford boxes on us. At the end of the month, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
So look, Donovan Solano, big news. Donnie Barrels, one of the more polarizing guys on this podcast this season. I mean, a guy that got off to an absolute terrible start, but had quietly some good stats the second half of this season for the Mariners. There's just no place with him, especially with Naylor playing every single day. Eugenio is going to be out there every single day. You needed to bring up a catcher, probably because they're running into a situation where it's Mitch Garver or it's Cal Raleigh, and when Mitch Garver's doing his catching, you can't take him out. You can't pinch hit for him, or you're going to lose the DH. They decided to bring up Harry Ford. They also bring up Louis Rivas, who made a big splash with his first MLB home run in a minor league park, but still your major league home run. And we also saw I forgot the pitcher's name, skipping my brain right now, that we called up. But Jackson, I believe his last name is. So those are your call ups right now. What do you think about the call up for Harry Ford?
Oh, I really liked it. I remember quite a while ago when you brought it up to Ninja and me, and I mentioned that there's a good possibility that Harry Ford, and that was before he even started to have such a hot streak in the second half of the season. He absolutely deserves it. Glad they brought him up. Excited to see what he can do. Another right-handed bat off the bench. He can relieve Cal. He can pinch hit. I'm just excited what he can do. It's hard. There used to be just a plethora of players that used to get called up. Now there's 2, a pitcher and a position player. So probably going to make his debut, I would imagine, tomorrow or the next day. So excited to see what he can do with the big league glove. I mean, he's hit down there, that's for sure.
Yeah, and if he doesn't get to play here in Tampa Bay, he could be making his debut in Atlanta, where he's from. Needless to say, he gets to go play. I'm sure he'll get some ABs there. Harry Ford, when I heard the news today, I was like, when's the last time we ever really did cut anything about Harry Ford? Yeah, we talked to our boy down at the Modesto Nuts a little bit, but he was gone by the time we made that connection with Eric Estrada. So I was like skimming through our social media, and it was literally one of the very first videos that we ever posted. Here's us talking about Harry Ford back in the WBC when we thought maybe this was happening sooner than later. Let's talk about the biggest splash probably in the WBC from the Mariners organizations. Easily got to be, is he King Harry Ford? Knight Harry Ford? He's been knighted. He's been baited by kids. I seen that on Twitter. He's basically the Ken Griffey Jr. of England right now.
It was cool to see.
Yeah, it was a student dressed up wearing a picture of Harry Ford's face as a mask with a crown, yes, and mimicking the home run celebration. Harry Ford responded to them.
It's really exciting for the young guys.
I'm sure, right now with a lot of the hype, we're going to get a lot of those comparisons to the Julios and the Jared Kelnicks.
I'm excited to see when or how long it's going to take before he makes the rise up to the big league roster.
I'm looking forward to constantly talking about him. Well, we haven't constantly talked about him. It's been a couple of years. It's that was from March of 2023. That was coming out of the WBC.
I think what was so cool about that was just seeing him facing Major League pitching and how well he did in the WBC, and then wondering, is that going to procure him to rise on up? You know, he spent a full year in Double A, did really well, and now this year in Triple A, and has just continued to play really well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just think about the backup catchers that we've had, or that it's not been a great relationship. It's been Tom Murphy, it's been Garver, it's been Kurt Caselli, it's been I'm trying to think of another catcher that we had, but it's been guys that you're just like, are we going to keep rolling this out there? You know, in these spots, are we going to keep rolling Garver out there in these DH spots? And now I got a question here that says, do you think that if Harry Ford goes off, that Mitch Garver wouldn't make the playoff roster? And I thought that was kind of interesting, because you probably wouldn't be substituting so much catcher, DH, like you would in a regular season, giving guys day off. So maybe you would only need 2 catchers in the series. And if you're thinking about dead money, and you know how you always say, hey, the Mariners don't like dead money. Well, you'd already paid Mitch Garver for what you're going to pay him for by the end of the season. So that's something that I was thinking about. But then again, maybe Mitch Garver is the kind of guy that you could get in the playoffs and he gets lucky. He's been there before. I don't know. Just that was a nice little question brought in here.
Yeah, after watching his pinch hit at bat today, seeing 3 strikes and not getting the bat off the shoulder, I don't have too many kind things to say about Mitch Garver.
No,
but
I'd love to have a podcast just to figure out what he's thinking on some of these at bats that he has, especially like the pinch hits where he goes up there and he doesn't take the bat off his shoulder, and if he does that slow motion swing that you're going, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, he got 2 balls that spun into him facing the lefty that he didn't swing at, and then the third one he took right down, inside corner. He was definitely looking off speed, or at least I'm hoping so, because he took a fastball belt high right inside and didn't even budge. So that was frustrating, but yeah, I see why. I mean, it's going to be, that's a great question. I mean, usually, it's playoff time. You take the best guys to the field, and try to win with them. And there is, I mean, we've seen it with, what's his name, the pitcher, Gonzalez. He had a good year for us, but there just was no need for him, so he was off the playoff roster. I think Harry Ford would have to do a ton in the final month or 3 weeks of the season.
I think he'd have to show you, he can handle staff, which they brought up. He's caught pretty much everybody except for Caleb Ferguson that's on this roster. And he probably, if you're having him on a playoff roster, it would be probably a pinch hit or I'm not sure what, I mean, I have to look it up right now, but I'm sure he's young. He can run. I'm sure he's a lot faster than Mitch Garver is. But yeah, I would assume he would have to have a pretty good month here. But I mean, it's possible. What if he does start raking? What if he comes in and has like a Kyle Lewis style September, and you're just like, there's no way that we can't have him on a playoff roster if the Mariners make the playoffs. Which brings me to this question we have here on one of the super chats. From Seth. Interesting question. I asked myself, what was the M's record on September 1st, 2024? 69-68. Makes me feel slightly better about now. Slightly better. Yeah, I mean, I feel better, except for the fact that I feel like the Mariners right now at this time of the year, last year, we're kind of on this. Dan Wilson had just taken over, and they were on an upswing. I mean, they made a run for it and just came up too short. They ran out of gas at the end. But yeah, I mean, and last year we weren't in a position of being in a playoff spot. We were always chasing a spot and never really being able to grasp onto one at the end of the season. But look, the cushion is definitely shrinking right now at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at is, just like what got Scott Service fired last year was that awful run on the road trip, and lately the previous road trip for the Mariners has been awful, and this one's early on, but it's not looking too promising. So they got to get it figured out. And I mean, hopefully they can just sneak in and then they take off in the playoffs. At least that's how I try to trick my brain into thinking how it's going to be, because they're not clicking on all cylinders right now.
Sure. Like I guess I could see the scenario where to the way they play on the road, because right now I'm saying if the Mariners don't get the top wild card spot or they don't secure the AL West, I really in my heart do not feel like the Mariners right now, from what I can see, I could not say that they will even see a home game. The way that they're playing on the road, they haven't won a series since they swept the Detroit Tigers right before the All-Star break. They've lost every single series on the road except for one, and that was the split that they had down in Anaheim. So there's nothing that says that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at a better roster. I'm looking at the team with Eugenio. I'm looking at the team with Naylor. I'm looking at the team with Ferguson. I'm looking at a Demo-less team. I'm looking at a Rowdy Tellez-less team, a Solano-less team. Now, for the most part, that those guys barely factored into what was going on the field, except for that little run there with Demo. So you can't point at that, but they just have not figured it out whatsoever. And surprisingly, it's the hitting on the road that they're typically a way better hitting team on the road, and we're just not seeing that. So it's a big concern to me, and they need to get it fixed. The Mariners need to get this, whatever's going on the road. Right now you're looking at, as we're recording this, 6 games under 500. Last year they were a dozen games under 500, but the difference is if they can't figure it out here on this road trip, the next road trip isn't any easier. And in fact, that could be a death sentence. You're talking about, you're playing in Kansas City against a Kansas City team that's also right there with the Texas Rangers right on our heels. And then you're playing the Houston Astros, who are starting to get a little bit of a sizable lead on you. So you need to figure this out. You need to figure it out now.
Well, the thing of it is, too, they figured it out in the first half of the year. They played really well on the road the first half of the year.
Yeah.
And that's what's so surprising about this, and why just to fall off the cliff after the All-Star break. That's where I'm just baffled in what has changed. They swept Detroit, like you mentioned the last time they won a series on the road, or right before the All-Star break, and just licked right at red hot red. So it's baffling to me.
Yeah. Let's see. We had another comment right here. Oh, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you've seen this. And I had good thing for Polanco. Polanco's approaching he's right at 400. Polanco's approaching his 450 at bat threshold, which triggers it triggers a $6 million player option, $8 million. So I think it's actually $2 million he gets if he reaches, wait, we have to look this up again. Let me see. Polanco's approaching his 450 bat threshold. He gets $6 million player option, $8 million at 550. I'll have to go relook this up, but I was pretty sure that he only needed 15 more plate appearances for $200 million more. No, excuse me, $2 million more. But I'll have to pull that up. But that
let's say this is correct, and we have 24 games, and if he goes, plays every game and sees 4 bats a game, that's 96. So it would be close.
Yeah, you're right. Even if it is 100, I thought it was 15. Well, either way, he is approaching that. And look, he's played a lot this year. He's played so much more than we thought he did. Even when he was hot, Hanno, he was injured, right? Remember, he couldn't hit right-handed. So for him to get this many at bats this season, I definitely did not project that from Polanco. I hoped for it, but I had to be honest with you. I didn't think he'd play this much.
No, and I mean, there's only one team right now that we know that would not allow a player to get to reach that, and that's the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you've been following that, a lot of guys have had these clauses, and they've kicked the can down the road and not let them do it or traded them away. So if the Mariners were to do that, I just can't see them doing that, trying to not let him get his escalator clause because of at-bats.
We have some comments here on Castillo as well. This is going off of your video there, Hannah, on Luis Castillo starts. John Carlin says, love Luis, but his velocity is down and he's not getting much movement on his fastball. When you can't locate with that combination, you're going to get rocked.
Correct.
We have from Biz Hathaway. I believe Luis is a wonderful person, and I pray for him and all our Mariners. He surely will get back to his best pitching when he gets his hair trimmed and thinned. I believe it affects his ability and have watched him having to adjust his hat after every pitch. God bless you.
God bless you too.
His haircut. Okay. That's from Biz Hathaway. David Hathaway. I don't know if this is any relation. The David Hathaway, there's a couple's picture on here, but Biz only has her own picture. All right. We don't need to dissect that. But David Hathaway says he needs to throw his changeup more often. No mix. Everything is the same speed.
I agree with his sequencing too. He's totally right. They're not fooling anybody. And I honestly don't even notice when he throws the changeup anymore, to be honest with you. He used to be a wipeout pitcher of his. I just don't notice it.
Art Arreo says, when I'm saying he's got to turn this around soon, he says, don't hold your breath. So it seems like the fan base is definitely turning on him. We got Jordan Ventura saying trade him during the offseason for a couple of bats. Susan Banky saying, yeah, for sure. We have to just admit this is maybe one of the worst stretches he's had as a Mariner, for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I don't begrudge any Mariner fans for being upset. We're right in the thick of it here. We haven't been in the playoffs in a few years. We're praying and hoping that guys perform to get us there. And when they don't, it's super frustrating.
Yeah. We do have some positive stuff that we can talk about. We had this video that a lot of people have liked. There's a lot of comments. I'll play it really quick, and then I'll get to some of these comments because I haven't done a great job on getting back to comments on the show. Definitely when we see them on the socials, either Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook. We're pretty good at getting back on there, but I'd like to implement that more here on the show. So get your comments in here. You also can come in here, and there is a comment thing from our stream here on YouTube. If you put stuff on there, we'll put it on the show as long as it's appropriate. But let's play this video, and then we'll get some feedback from it.
If you watch the game, you might have caught this. Gino is rounding the bases, does all his stuff that he does. It was a massive hit. Rounding third, coming home. And who is on deck? Jorge Polanco. You're expecting to get some dap. You got some from Cal. And coming out of the dugout, you see Josh Naylor. Did he get Eugenio any dap? Absolutely not. He was up early just before him. He goes to the on-deck batter, Jorge Polanco, and talks to him about what he's seeing from that pitcher. It got me so jacked up, even though it was a big-time home run from Eugenio. Just to see that I don't care that you just hit that home run. To see that you went to the on-deck batter to talk strategy about what you're seeing. You're a fellow left-handed hitter,
yeah.
Blanco, which just totally involved what Naylor was saying. It's something I noticed, and it absolutely got me pumped.
Just try to play baseball. I just like to wake up, come to the field, work hard, win the game, go home, repeat.
Man, Hannah, you were so pumped up coming out after that game. That game. But yeah, that was a great take by you. We'll pull that up on our show, and we'll read some of the comments. But just so you know, Hannah, look, we don't usually brag about stuff, but you got at this point right now 909 likes on Instagram, 335 reshares, a lot of comments. Good work.
Yeah, it's just I'm glad people enjoyed it. I just wanted to share it. I noticed it when I was watching the game, and you don't see that very often. After a home run, everybody's celebrating. Seeing a guy go over to the on-deck batter, like I mentioned, and talk about something that he's seen. He's an interesting player, a die-hard type player, a throwback. He's very fascinating to watch on how he approaches his game.
We do have some Instagram comments. We'll do those in a second, but I'm going to stay on task here, and let's pull up the comments here on this I guess I can't pull them up on here. I can pull them up here on my phone. Sorry about that. But just wanted to okay, we got Michael Barr. 100% Naylor is a gamer. Love him. Only cares about winning. Darren K. Walsh says, I remember seeing that when it happened. Polo didn't take advantage, though, if I remember correctly. Saw that and absolutely loved it. I caught that also, dude, and mentioned that to my buddy. Loved it. She said, he must have saw something. That was from 12th Man Customs. We also have Rooney, who says Naylor's baseball IQ needs to be more frequent topic of discussion. From his on-base hitting to his base hit, or to his on-base hitting to his base stealing, the M's need to lock this guy down. Stephen Chavley says, agreed. We need someone like Naylor who will inspire that Michael Jordan game face in other players. He's got that drive and that desire that will inspire greatness in other players. James.Heward.35 says, give this man a contract. It's a whole different team with him in this lineup and him on the field, even on the bases. We got Kim Sam say Naylor is a giant baseball brain. And I'm so glad that he's a Mariner. We got a lot of them here. But yeah, despite maybe the little rough patch we're having right here, you think about the guys that maybe you're going to bring back next year, or yet you'd have to negotiate with Eugenio, with him. You definitely are going to have to look at Randy, because I believe that's the last year of that contract before he's an unrestricted free agent. You also need to take a look at the homegrown talent that you are going to need to start to resign, like Kirby and Logan Gilbert. So yeah, there's a lot of, the offseason is going to be one of those. Going off of the last few off seasons, I'm just scared about the off season. I don't even want to think about it. I guess just bring that up of going, yeah, Naylor is somebody that you really haven't had a first baseman in here in years, a steady first baseman. You had Carlos Santana for a second. You had this little spot with Ty France where maybe he could have been your first baseman, but you got to go way back to where there was a real solid first baseman. I think we said the last real solid first baseman that the Mariners had was John Olerud.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say Tino Martinez. Let's go way back. That's actually good.
You could look at, Richie Sexton hit 40 home runs one year too. But
true.
Yeah, that batting average and that swing and miss was terrible. For what you went and got Richie Sexton for, he did not meet up to that contract. We got some more Naylor is the future manager of the year. I definitely could see him being coaching like Bone or coaching like Don Zimmer forever and ever. That guy does seem to. He's always on the rail watching the game. I will. Let's see. Number one off-season priority, sign Naylor. Okay, so we're getting a lot of agreement on that. And then we said Crawford's last season is next year on his contract.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see him come back and he'll be on the team. But yeah, there's a lot of middle infielders that are coming up. Some of them already been up. You look Cole Young. We already saw him get a little shortstop play right there. You know what's going to be interesting? I wonder how much we're going to see Leo Rivas. If you go back to last year about this time, he was a pretty integral part of the little run the push that the Mariners had last season.
I have no problem seeing Rivas start at second tomorrow. Cole Young hasn't been hitting well. If Dan Wilson was to throw Rivas in tomorrow, it would not shock me, and it'd be interesting to see what he could do. He's hit well in AAA. He's a switch hitter. You got to play your best guys. So I'm not saying Young's not one of their best guys, but you got to play the hot hand, and that's what makes a good manager. So, and I'm not saying that should happen either, but if you're struggling, you got to switch things up a little bit.
I want to match you or see you. How do you say it in cards? I match you. I want to see you. I don't want to raise it, but maybe I will raise you on this. I wouldn't mind if he played second base. I also wouldn't mind if he was starting at shortstop tomorrow.
Yeah, that too. Another great possibility. JP feels like he goes out there and Treasure Bunny every single game. I mean, he might be gassed himself. It would be nice to see him get a day off and see what Rivas can do.
I mean, we saw what he could do there in that at bat. I mean, they were talking about this guy doesn't have any major league home runs, but he went down to the minors, and it struck me that they're like he had 10 home runs because I was like, he wasn't down. I mean, he was down there for a good amount of time, but for what we've seen out of him and him to get 10 home runs, that was actually a number that when they were mentioning that really jumped out at me.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, what was down there 2-3 months, but yeah, quite a bit. That's a good little run down there. I didn't know he was showing that much power off down there.
And it would be great if he is successful, obviously for the Mariners' sake, but also like it would go to show you why you don't keep, certain players just rotting away on your roster and you let them go down there and you develop during the season to when they are needed at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about today, with the September call-ups, not that it's cruel or anything, but, Ben Williamson could have been a guy to be brought up, Miles Mastroboni, and, either of them didn't get their name called with it, being such a small roster increase. But guys like that, I mean, it's tough. It's good for Louis Rivas to get called up here and then succeed right away.
Yeah. All right. Take 30-second break, and then we're going to get on out of here. We'll be back with, one more thing.
Supercross this weekend in the Kingdom. The Coors Beer Supercross doubleheader. Get ready, Seattle, this Saturday night at 7:30 and Sunday afternoon at 2. The 1988 ANA Supercross Tour. Motorcycle Mania on an incredible dirt battleground that treats man and machine the same way. With absolutely no respect. See the best. National champion Jeff Ward. Former champion Ricky Johnson. Tickets at all Ticketmaster locations, including the Bond, Tower Records, and Video, and participating Honda dealers. The Coors Beer Supercross.
So my best friend, his name is Myron Sumner, and he's from Seattle, born and raised, from the Ballard area. He grew up, he loves you. He's very upset that I'm getting to talk to you right now, but he has a Mariners podcast called Rye Bread and Mustard, named after the famous saying.
Yes, by Dave Niehaus.
Dave Niehaus, yeah. But he's got some questions. I got a couple questions for you. I got two.
Okay.
It's a bit of a deep cut. You share a lot of stories about the Griffies, but I was wondering if you remember your experience supporting junior and senior at the Arsenio Hall show in 1990. What was it like sitting in the dog pound during the prime Arsenio run?
I do remember that. I don't remember how I ended up going to the show with them. Ken was so young. When he would go places, he'd be like, man, come with me, come speak with me, come I'm going to a school, you gotta go. He was so shy. Now he can't quit talking. But seeing those two on there, that was pretty cool.
They shouted you out. You had a moment on camera that was cool. I watched the clip last night.
Oh, that's funny. You're going way back machine with that one.
All right, Hanno, I do have another comment here that just came in. That I forgot about. This is from John I1M3L on YouTube. He says, there's a lot of Seattle Mariner podcasts, and I don't know why you guys aren't more popular. Your guys' show is definitely the best, but what the fuck do I know? I'm just an old man. John, we'd like to say you are a wise old man. Thanks for the support. If you want to make us more popular, a little segue, you can always like and subscribe. Those things really help out. They really do. It's really easy. You can put the settings if you don't want all the notifications on what's going on. pretty easy to click on that. If you do want all the notifications, you want to know when we're dropping shit, you want to know the content, pretty easy. Hit us up here on our socials, the liking and subscribing on YouTube. And I know that there's way more listeners on the podcast side. I think you guys are missing out if you really enjoy the show, if you're not coming over and checking out the YouTube stuff, right? Especially seeing what Hanno's going to wear every time. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
But the fun thing about the YouTube thing is you do get to see some stuff. You usually will get this like 99% of the time you're getting the video show or the YouTube show before the pod drops too. So, and it's interactive as we've been trying to show you. So if you're driving around going like, man, I got to get my POV in, well, head on over to the YouTube and of course give us a subscribe. And listen, if you you've seen us around, you like the merch, you want the street cred for rocking the rye bread, you hit up at simply.core. It's right here on the scroll, at simply.core on Instagram or Etsy. DM her, and also visit In the Clutch Apparel at intheclutchapparel.com and use that promo code rye bread and mustard, all one word. Save yourself some money. They got the MLB, they got the NBA, they got the WNBA, they got the NHL, they got PJ. If it's a sport or a popular thing going on, they got you covered with all the up-to-date shirts in the Clutch Apparel. And also, if you're going to the Mariners games when they come back into town, we'll be down there. We'll announce which date it's going to be on the next road trip. Always make your pre and post at Tacos and Tequila, Pioneers Taco and Tequila, right there on Occidental. And in fact, I think the Friday, I think Joe was mentioning us that on the Friday of the Angels series, there's going to be a country western line dancing competition going on at Pioneers Tacos and Tequila. So make sure you're there to check that out. Line dancing going on there for that Friday game of that Angels series, which I believe is the 14th. Look, hopefully the Mariners can turn this around. Like we've mentioned, they need to figure out what's going on the road, they need to figure out what's going on with these road games. They need to figure it out on this road trip, because the next one is going to be a real, nut cutting, road trip. It's going to be your final one. We mentioned it, Kansas City and Houston. So hopefully they will straighten things out here and get some confidence going into that. Because if you do back into the playoffs, then you are going to be on the road. So that is the biggest glaring overall issue. And then under the hood, of course, we know things going on with the bullpen, some of the starting pitching and the hitting. But overall, it's this road play is really the biggest weakness for this team, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, as of late, no doubt. I think eight series left, 4-4, 4 above 500, 4 below 500, and that's something we cannot really look at too much either, because the Mariners haven't been played that well against teams under 500. They seem to be a lot better against teams above 500, so no real advantage there. But they just got to go out and play better, and hopefully they can hold on, because it's getting a little bit too tight for everybody, I think.
Yeah, and by everybody, we're talking about us. This was actually the funniest one I saw today about the Mariners on the road. Check this out.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
I thought that was one more time.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
That's when the Mariners, that's a meme saying, well, that's the Mariners when they play on the road. Oh God, it is rough. If the Mariners can pull themselves up to close to about 500 and take care of themselves at home, I'm sure they can. I still feel good about them getting in the playoffs, but if they didn't, it would be a different kind of feeling. Go ahead.
It would be devastating. A year like Cal Raleigh has had, to go out and make moves at the deadline and to not make the playoffs. Come on, it'd be freaking just unbelievably hurtful. Not even hurtful. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. It's devastating.
I don't want to.
We know where to look then.
I don't want to think about it either because we'd have to sit here and talk about it. And the the other thing is, you're right. It would be devastating with Cal Raleigh's year, the emotional reunion with Eugenio Suarez, going out and grabbing somebody like Josh Naylor, and just thinking about like what somebody like Josh Naylor would think about like coming over and not making the playoffs. Like, I'm out of here. You'd also have to fight off the triggering feelings of like, okay, if we didn't make the playoffs, that means our pitching wasn't as good as it was when we were wasting a historically great pitching staff in 2024 and 2023. So all of those things would bubble back up to the surface as well. Yes, it would be a real devastating feeling in a different way. And it would go deeper than just the surface of 2025. So it would come in many different angles at you.
Oh yeah, the national media here a couple weeks ago when we won 8 in a row, crowning our ass, and you getting all excited, think we're gonna win 90, 95 games.
91.
I mean, whatever. I mean, people are going crazy.
Yeah, I do remember when people were going, "Ha!" You remember when everybody was talking shit last year when the Mariners had this big collapse? Well, we just caught the Astros, and that lasted all of what, a weekend? Not even a weekend. So, yeah, anything is to be expected. It is interesting. Like, I feel like our show just starts. You know how we say it takes you a minute to get going or us to figure out our footing? I feel like our show starts to actually really start going every time we get to September, because this is what it's all about right here. The emotions are high. The microscope is very big.
Yeah, we should just wait and start in September next year.
I agree. Is that fair? That's fair. All right. I think we covered everything we needed to cover. If you haven't checked out our episode before this, it's a fun one. We're down at Tacos and Tequila. It's a loose one. Go check that out as well. And yeah, we'll see you over on the socials. We'll see you here on this next show this week, and we'll let you know when we're going to be at Tacos and Tequila. With that said, Hanno, you know what time it is.